Hello fellow gamers and welcome back to Timberborn. So in the last few episodes we've been kind of working on expanding this industrial area, really getting going with the kind of robot kind of creation stuff. We now have a total of 18 robots. We also look to kind of expand kind of our power kind of output by putting some windmills here, so we kind of restructured things a little bit. Once these are all built, we can kind of take down this little stairwell here just so we can kind of link all of these up and then get that connected to this upper shaft here. One thing that we have done though is we have kind of run out of wood over the time. I think it's because mainly because of the bad tides. It's killed off a lot of our trees over here. We kind of killed off a lot of them over here as well. So we have had to kind of replant them as well. We are kind of running low on kind of chestnuts in terms of the food and stuff. They're kind of the first things to go. So I have kind of planted a few more around this area just in the hopes of kind of like, you know, making sure we have plenty kind of variety for our beavers to kind of make sure our well-being is at the kind of the utmost. So we've kind of prioritized this real quick. As we kind of get planks and wood and stuff like that, we can kind of really just kind of take down all of these trees, and that should kind of get us a little bit of wood just to kind of keep us going that little bit longer. Okay, so for today's episode, what I'd like to do is I would like to kind of start kind of completing a lot of these. I kind of went a bit overboard when it came to the monuments. I wanted to really kind of maximize the well-being of these beavers. So by doing that, it has kind of like sapped a lot of our resources. You can see there's a lot of these that just haven't even even been started yet. So so plan is to kind of like, you know, circumvent the lack of resources. You can see here we have a lot of food being used. We kind of go up to about 9.8 10k, and then, you know, we have 200 beavers, so they kind of all get fed kind of first thing when they wake up. And then, you know, so that's kind of a big drain on our resources. So I think, so today I'm going to kind of keep on cracking with our resource kind of generation. This is something that I would really like to get started today. I know I've kind of mentioned it in the last episode. It would be something I'm working towards, but given the amount of gears, treated planks, metal blocks, there's just so many, we're just not going to be able to probably do that today. What we can do though is we can just make a good effort in collecting those resources. The bad tide that is approaching is going to be we're probably not going to be able to get this built today in this site. Well, sorry, when I say today, I mean kind of before the cycle comes to the bad tide. When that happens, that's going to be a bit of an issue. I need to kind of work on this a little bit, because thinking about it, this is just not going to be big enough. What I might have to do is kind of make this maybe pretty much out. It might need to be the whole kind of length, but at the same time I do want the bad tide to kind of run this way. What to do? I think the best way to do it is kind of pretty much, because the whole idea is kind of making sure, we need to kind of get access to this. We need this underground ruins, just for the simple fact that, you know, it's going to be useful for our kind of scrap metal, given that we need so much metal kind of blocks. So there's one here and one here. So this might not work, because I want to keep this power generation, but in order to keep that, I need to kind of run that during the bad tide as well. But at the same time, we are making kind of some windmills here, so maybe we can do it. Yeah, let's kind of stick with the plan as what we were originally going to do. So I think what we need to do, 2 there, 2 there, and then that might be enough. I think maybe do like 2 more, so, and let's kind of like block it off here like so, and then I can also get rid of that. And then we can build. That's gonna run off. That's actually gonna run off quite a lot. So yeah, we need to kind of work on this a little bit. So I think here. Just want to make sure that we are kind of not going to be in a situation where we kind of have so much kind of coming through here that it kind of drops off. So I'm just going to block that off like that. That should be nice and kind of safe. That just means these sluices should be able to kind of handle all of that. I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, I don't think we even need that at that point. So I think that should be enough. I think those 8 should make it so it's, you know, nice and safe for the bad tie. We'll lose out on power, actually a fair bit of power to say the least, but it will be worth it kind of in the end because we do need those underground ruins just to get the scrap metal. Okay, so we'll kind of get going with that. Nothing's been started here yet. We are running out of scrap metal over here. We do have more scrap metal up this way. So I wonder, this would be a smaller project to kind of make here. So let's, how do we do this? I think, okay, let's do this. Path up to here, and let's build here. Then, do we look to get some of these? I think maybe something like that. Like that. We have the sign, so we can't do that. And then we can build a platform here. And then a stairwell. Oops. Stairwell here. And then here. Back down again. Now we have access to all of this. Once that's built. Let's build that across up to here. And then we can get more scrap metal. So this is going to be quite a lot. I mean, you see here, some of these are going to be, so that's a good 1,000 or so. We can also look to kind of build a couple of lumberjacks as well. Maybe have one here. And then we can cut all these trees down as well. Given that, like, how much we are kind of expanding and how rapidly we are, it is good to get as many trees as possible. Just until we can kind of get back to, you know, I mean, these guys are kind of cutting down trees, so that's awesome. I want to get rid of this one just so we can build a pathway, because this just gives us access to the trees up top. This doesn't quite go all the way, so I'm just going to build a little bit of the path here, and then we can get another lumberjack in. Just like that. Okay. So let's just slow this down a little bit. Need to open up this. I was gonna replace these with sluices, but I wanted to kind of figure out this whole situation here first and kind of see how that goes before I start wasting. Well, not so much wasting. It's just, you know, metal blocks are like such a kind of needed resource right now. It's at the point that we need to kind of really be careful on what it is that we are using kind of the metal blocks for. Okay. Right. Can we high prioritize this just to get rid of it, just to build that path? Yes, we can. That is done. Anytime. Yep, there we go. Just make sure we're prioritizing these as well, just so they can kind of get trees cut as quickly as possible. Right, so I think we're good with that. Everything's looking pretty solid. We have so many kind of haulers kind of in now. throughout the kind of the different kind of things. That's mainly because, you know, we have so many kind of beavers now. We have 210 beavers, so that's real kind of like, that's all, you know. That's, I'm gonna, yep, let's do that. And I think really the time is going to be now. It's going to be I think it's going to be the time it takes to make these. You know, it does take what, 36 hours to build one. I mean, we have 24, and then, which is pretty much all of these. Explosive factory, do we look to maybe do that one? I kind of almost want to save up for this, but it is 10k science, so that is going to take some time. Yeah, let's do this one, and then we can do that when we have enough beavers. Well, robots, I should say. How is this looking? It's looking okay. It has, for some reason, got through a little bit though, which I'm kind of surprised at. Very surprised. I thought we cut it off last episode. I wonder why that's. I mean, it's slightly contaminated. It's not a lot. This is all fine. We're not getting any runoff kind of over here just because it's just not deep enough, which is fine. Okay, great. Cool. All right, let's get through this bad tide and kind of we'll wind on a little bit more time. Once we have a bit more kind of infrastructure kind of built out, what I'll do is I want to make sure that we can get these kind of planks all done, and then we can kind of come back with the windmills built, the bad tide over, and then hopefully we should have some more progress on this, kind of coming along and kind of figured out this situation. Okay, so I will be back in a very short while. Okay, so a bit of time has passed now. Just coming at the end of cycle 21, the end of the drought. It was an 8-day drought, so not too bad. This little area is kind of drying out in that amount of time, but that's basically just because of the way I've set this up. This should really be a dam, and then that'll kind of hold this water. I don't quite want to kind of like change that round yet. I'm just going to have to deal with it. I don't particularly want to destroy that bakery, rebuild it with the dam on top. What I could do though is I could do it that way. So let's destroy you, and then you. Then I can build a dam up here with a path across. Okay, so that'll kind of save us on having to destroy that, because initially I was going to just put it here just so it kind of holds that, but there's not really a lot of point. One thing that you'll notice is I have actually got our average up to 50, mainly because we have 70 beavers that are unemployed, and all they do is kind of just basically whatever they want. They eat what they want. They kind of, you know, enjoy the kind of different kind of facilities that, you know, the well-being stuff. So yeah, it does help that they aren't working right now, so it really does kind of increase their kind of well-being on that one. Also, what I've started to do is kind of like really kind of look to kind of expand this area. I was looking to put like another kind of oak kind of forest in here, just because we are running pretty low on trees. Another kind of project that I wanted to do is kind of like level out this area. If we can get kind of like a nice consistent bit of water in here, maybe with a dam across, we can kind of start looking at kind of expanding more forestry there. But for now, what we've been doing is been cutting down all of these trees, just trying to keep it, like, you know, the planks seem to be like kind of used quite a lot, and because of that we are kind of strapped for kind of wood. So I've just been clearing up this area. I've kind of fully cleared this area over here now, minus the couple of trees that were kind of just kind of, well, the seedlings at that point. This has taken a little while as well, but it is kind of in the progress. You know, it just, when it comes to droughts, it does kind of really slow things down, because you can see here we only, we need almost 7,000 power, and we're only making about 260. That's because of these guys here kind of working away, and then sometimes when the windmills are working, it does kind of contribute there. So I think when we're fully up and running, we are making roughly like 7,000. So we are getting a bit of a surplus there, which is great. It's kind of what we want. We could look to maybe build some kind of gravity batteries just to kind of last a little bit longer, but that is quite a large setup when it comes to building stuff like that. I don't particularly want to kind of step into that quite yet. Well, mainly because just the sheer amount of resources that it needs to build it up high enough. So for now, we will kind of keep on focusing on getting the earth recultivator kind of up and running. You can see here we all have made some progress. Metal blocks, we're about 10% in there. We do have another 170-ish in storage, so that'll kind of keep on going with that one. Treated planks, we have plenty treated planks. We will run out just at our kind of rate that we're creating normal planks, but we will kind of get there with that eventually. And then same with gears. The limitation right now with gears is literally our plank production. So let's focus on kind of building more kind of areas for trees. So I've kind of started up this side here, where I'm going to clear all of this area out and kind of make this into a large forest. In order to do that, we do kind of need to make sure that this area here is kind of getting built out, just to kind of like redirect all of the kind of bad water off that way. So I think first things first, let's kind of prioritize all of this. I want to make sure that we are kind of getting across here as quickly as we can, kind of building that up, and then once we have all the dynamite in there, I can kind of build those last few dirt blocks. Dirt blocks, we have probably the most amount of raw materials so far, that and kind of scrap metal. But as I was saying earlier, scrap metal is going to be an issue where we are going to run out until we can kind of build the mine in the kind of the top corner there. So yes, for now this will kind of keep us kind of satisfied in the metal block situation, but as soon as we start getting closer and closer towards that kind of like, well, a few hundred left, and we run out of scrap metal in other places, we'll really have to kind of look at building the mine on top of the underground ruins. So here it's going to need 4,000 signs to do that. That's why I've kind of held off on kind of replacing any other jobs for the robots. It has, in terms of like kind of the robots have pretty much covered all of this now. So all robots are kind of minus the kind of wheels and a couple of the kind of bot assemblers. Also, like kind of these have just kind of started going, so I haven't quite done them yet. But I will transfer them over eventually. I just don't want to spend the science because, like I say, I want to kind of focus on making sure we have plenty kind of scrap. What I could do though is like these mines, looking at the resources, 200 treated planks and 350 gears, that is going to impact on our earth recultivator. So I'm just kind of holding off for as long as I can until we start kind of getting low on that scrap. Okay, so how are we getting on here? So you can see here we do have some builders that are bots now. That just kind of, they have been kind of filling that up. I did just have a high priority to kind of build this hut specifically for robots. That just means that kind of all the other builders in the other huts are kind of just doing their thing as normal, and then kind of as and when we kind of get the kind of robots, they kind of have been filling these kind of workplaces just bit by bit. So just 2 more there. We have nothing in range here, so that's good because we can now kind of utilize these in that builder's hut as well. So we can just get rid of them now, which is awesome. That just means, okay, so we have 54 robots now, which is real good. What can we do now. All of these, minus the inventory hut, is now robots. We have plenty dynamite, so I don't think we need to kind of look at maybe doing that. Potentially kind of swap it over, but I think, yeah, let's swap these over, make sure that's fine. I think the next one is going to be this one here. Let's get the printing press. A couple of things in terms of like kind of well-being for the robots is if you scroll down here all the way down to the bottom. So these are, well, this guy here, Timberbot 1, he has got a condition of 1 because he's got one of the, I can't remember which one it was. It was one of the things. Oh, it was the catalyst. So yeah, because we are kind of creating catalysts in this one, catalysts do kind of upgrade the well-being of the robots up to 1, and then the punch cards bring it up to 2. So 2 is the kind of maximum that I can see so far. So that kind of like, you know, it increases that from 45% to 120%. So they work so much faster, and they almost go 3 times as fast as well. So the catalysts, if we can find them, we don't have like any so far. They seem to be kind of lacking on maple syrup. So what I did is I create a forester hut here, and I just add in a bunch more kind of maple trees as well. That just means that we're going to kind of split them up between using them for catalysts to get better robots and faster robots, as well as kind of using it for the maple pastries as well. So a lot more planting, a lot more kind of time will kind of be needed for that one. Let's kind of unpause these just to make sure we are getting enough water. It has dropped a bit. We were kind of 6,000 kind of at maximum, but it's such a fine balance right now. We start kind of running low. Food is not an issue at all. Chestnuts, kind of because we don't have enough kind of chestnut trees, which is why I've kind of done these ones down here. We were kind of running low on that, but generally speaking, you know, our average well-being is pretty high. We do need to place in a couple of like kind of roof tiles somewhere on some of these kind of houses, and then pretty much that is it. You know, we could build another carousel. We might need 2 total. Books, probably going to need some more kind of printing presses to kind of make some of them, as well as the social side of things. Campfires have gone up. I think basically because these kind of beavers that have been kind of unemployed, they're just kind of utilizing the kind of campfire a bit more because they're not working all day and then sleeping. They're kind of having a bit of time to kind of enjoy some of those social things, as well as the rooftop terrace as well. I think we can just pop in like a couple of contemplation spots here and there kind of in this kind of main area. Kind of if we can find a little bit of space just to kind of slot them in. We can maybe look at doing that. Maybe kind of around here we'll put in a couple. It's just basically looking at where the kind of the high traffic areas, like this section here is where the majority of the beavers are. So anywhere that we can get around here, the better. Even if it means kind of building up a little bit. You can see like this, for example, if I just put in, where is the, there we go. So we can just slide one in there. Goes in quite nicely. Could put another one there. Why not? As well as there. Where else can we go? Maybe a couple in there. So yeah, so I think that's looking good now. These rooftop terraces will take, you know, a total of what, 8? So that'll be 8, 16, 24. That'll just add to it. We do kind of need to build these. It's kind of going to take a little while. Again, lacking on planks, you know. And look at that, level 51 for well-being. So, you know, it's just ever increasing. I think, you know, by the time we get this built, which is, I mean, we're up to almost 300 on the blocks and treated planks now. But yeah, once we get that built, I mean, that's pretty much the end game, right? But that'll just add a huge boost to the well-being. You see this This guy is out of fuel. We do have some. We seem to be kind of dropping it a little bit because we have quite a few, but there we go. It was kind of hovering around the 190 mark in storage, but I think this should be actually the next thing that we look to replace. So as soon as we do get more robots, we'll kind of replace these two. That just gives us an extra like 6 hours, so that'll give us an extra 10. That'll give us, that gives us 30 if we use potatoes. Maybe we use potatoes. Do we have? It is going down a little bit. I don't quite want to kind of use too many potatoes just in case. You know, carrots, we have just so many. Maybe we build one more refinery and we kind of make it carrots as well, because we do have so many carrots. The last thing I want to do is kind of just run out of biofuel, especially if we're going to build more and more kind of robots and stuff like that. So let's build one more there. Luckily it doesn't need power, so we can actually, I mean, to be honest, we could probably build two. Let's do that. And then let's make them up. Now, do we do carrots or do we do more catalysts? Probably not yet. Let's stick with carrots. Catalysts, like I say, we do need maple syrup for that, so that's going to take way too many resources, even though we will get kind of better kind of robot production, you know, but for now, let's kind of keep it like that. And yeah, this guy is kind of slow. So you can see there his movement speed is minus 75% when it's kind of out of biofuel. Once it gets the biofuel, it will return to 0, and then the catalyst and punch cards will kind of give it +1 as well. So we can get that up to +2. In terms of the punch cards themselves, I mean, that's what, making 2 every 3/4 of an hour. So we do actually get quite a lot of production in that. We can actually make a lot a day. So I think for now, just having them is just, I mean, I think there's enough kind of like production on that one. Maybe we need one more, but we'll kind of like cross that bridge when we get to it. I think maybe what if we could do is, if we did need it, we could just connect it up here and just build one separately. So it is still connected to the system and the entire power grid, but it's not going to be kind of too crazy on this. I was kind of looking at these storage areas here, maybe thinking about kind of building them, which, you know, just kind of destroy them, destroy that detailer as well. It is getting used, but I think, you know, this, given that it is kind of the industrial area, we're kind of using the limbs and the kind of the heads and everything like that. So these kind of buildings right here aren't really super useful. So yeah, so maybe, you know, it does have like a little bit of storage here. So if we are starting to kind of like fill up on the materials because we can't handle it, then maybe we look to do that. But for now, we could just destroy them. We'll see with that one. But again, I'm just trying not to kind of destroy anything I've built, just because, you know, it does waste like the materials. So yeah, so just kind of keep on working on this. Keep on working on this as well. And then we will come back to maybe a few more days, kind of just progression. What I'll do is I'll kind of prioritize these so we can start kind of looking at kind of getting more of the more of the trees and stuff like that. So the quicker we can get this done, the better. And then we'll come back once we level all this out and kind of figure out all of this section here. Okay, after a little bit more time, the drought again, kind of 8 days. So it looks like this dam here is kind of worked out. It's managed to keep these kind of this little area here kind of, well, hydrated really. Like you can see, still quite a bit of water left. So it looks like it was just down to that. Too much of it was running in. You can see here this is getting pretty low, but given that these have been running non-stop and it hasn't even taken a break, like 3 large pumps has only got that far, which plus the the evaporation kind of as well, it's pretty solid going. So we've been kind of fortunate to kind of figure that out with just a simple fix of kind of replacing where the path was. We are working along this kind of second layer now, where we can kind of get to almost where we need to be with this section here. This will just really help us when we get the next level down, just so we can start planting trees there. Also, just kind of finishing up this little bit here, just in time for the kind of the drought to end. But you can see we've made a large kind of section now. That's all built out, done, ready. We are kind of making some steady progress on this, although it is relatively kind of slower than I kind of thought. We almost have this section built just here, just like the last few there. That's going to kind of stop, make sure they kind of run off there. And then yeah, so we're in a good shape now. Haven't started any of this yet. This is going to be way down the line. And then same again with this. We have completed all of these now, so we have all the rooftop terraces, which are getting used quite a lot as well. I've kind of started kind of making another rooftop terrace here, replaced where this was a kind of a log pile for storage, but given that we are kind of struggling on logs for now, I didn't see much point in kind of doing it. One thing that I have noticed though is, the haulers are really taking the time as well as the builders. We seem to have kind of slowed down. I think a lot of it is to do with just the sheer size. I mean, look at the size of this city now. It is huge, and everything is kind of like pretty much haulers. So a lot of the jobs kind of, once everything's inside, whether it be Beaver or Robot, they kind of stay in there, and then all the haulers are doing kind of everything else. So I think, with that, it's kind of slowing things down just a little bit in terms of getting things kind of placed and everything like that. So what I've done is I've placed a couple more kind of hauling posts here, which I am going to kind of up the priority just to kind of complete them. And then looking at this, we almost have this section done, just so we can kind of run off everything here. So it's been relatively quick on getting the progress with that. We have 130 dynamite and extract. I think we are actually low on extract. It is kind of slowing down on the centrifuge. Reason being is kind of these bad water pumps don't work during a drought. So we've had kind of 8 days from which, they haven't been kind of working, mainly because the drought instantly kind of like stops where they're kind of pumping out. So I think getting these kind of built out might be a bit of a long-term solution if we kind of continue the series after the recultivator is built. But for now, kind of like I was saying earlier on in the episode and stuff like that, these aren't really a priority. This is though. So this here, that's all done, so we can detonate all of that. We can now delete this as well, and then build up here. So I'll just do that, and then I'll also just prioritize it as well. Given that we have so much dirt, it does kind of come relatively quickly. So yeah, let's keep an eye on that. Make sure there will be some kind of haulers somewhere kind of dropping off that stuff, but it might take a little while, seeing as a lot of the storage is kind of here, and I think here as well. Yeah, so these are the two kind of main storage right next to it, but obviously they've got to get it all the way across the map and all the way up here, just kind of put that down. So let's kind of keep an eye on that. And again, these ones, given that we have so much dynamite, they're just kind of really kind of going for it now. As soon as we do get the enough extract, those guys are just kind of planting these little by little. So that's good. In terms of the recultivator, we're now almost kind of like the kind of, well, maybe a third of the way, almost a third of the way with the metal blocks, a quarter of the way with the treated planks, and only 10% with the gears. Now it is saying 6% construction site. A lot of that is to do with the actual construction once they've got all of the materials there. So that is going to take a little bit of time. As well, if you notice, again, our kind of well-being has now kind of creeped up to 52. Even during the day, the start of the day, it's already like just kind of averaging at 51. It does drop a little bit for those few workers. I mean, we have 208 and 120 of them are working. So it could be better, but again, it kind of depends on how many kind of robots that we have. And currently, just with the way things are with these guys, I'll kind of scroll down. We have had a few that have kind of expired. You can see here some of them are at kind of 4%, 8%, 11%. They're ever going down. So essentially, they do have a bit of a kind of a timeline on how long they last, and we're kind of averaging around the 65 to 70 mark, depending on how quickly we can kind of build them. These obviously will go a little bit quicker now that we have some more kind of spaces for bots. That is now going to work 24 hours a day, and then I think that's all of them now. Yeah, so that's all 4 of the assemblers. They are kind of fully basically robot workers working for them now. And then the last 2, if we can, hopefully we can get these kind of put onto robots as well. That just means that robots are constantly creating kind of robots, so we should have an everlasting supply. Now, if we did want to kind of increase this to, I don't know, maybe like kind of the 100 mark, we would need to kind of double up again on the assemblers, given that they do take 36 hours per robot. We are starting to get a bit of a kind of backlog on some of the kind of items needed to create a robot. So you see here we have 28 bot heads, we have 16 limbs, but we don't have their chassis. They seem to be kind of the slowest, and they're not kind of being kind of, well, stockpiling right yet. But again, that's mainly due to the fact that this was the last one that was created. But now that we have this one, and if I can find the other one, which I think is here, now that we have 2, we should be building up a bit of a surplus. Also as well, one thing that I've tried to do is kind of just put a few biofuel tanks kind of dotted around the place. I think one's over here, and then I've got another one kind of building over here as well. Just makes it a bit easier for the robots to kind of refuel. Obviously, they're kind of quite a lot of the kind of workforce. They're actually, almost like, well, it's close to kind of 200, so it's almost 50% of the workforce. But they do seem to kind of run out at kind of weird places. You see this guy here, he's run out, so he's probably making all the way down to here, which obviously takes a bit of time, and kind of given that they kind of move at minus 75%, it does take them quite a while. So I've just dotted a few around just to kind of make it a bit easier for them to get to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, make a few little kind of small tanks here and there, just so they all have kind of enough fuel to kind of get around, and just these little kind of random gaps here and there. If I can just build that there, build that there. Yeah, just makes it, a little bit easier for them to get around, kind of restock, make sure they're not kind of in the, I would say, downtime for as long as they can. So I think that's kind of okay. Let's maybe put one there as well. There we go. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so again, planks are starting to kind of stock up a little bit. We do have 97, which is really good. We can start getting ahead on some of the things that we have been kind of lacking in terms of the buildings. You can see here, yep, still around that sort of 500 mark. I'm just kind of picking up some of these as and when they come on. But yeah, so these need planks, these need planks. A few of these kind of like decorations and stuff like that, they're still waiting on planks. So now that we are kind of building a bit of a surplus on that, we can kind of look to start doing that. I'm also just going to kind of get rid of these. That was back when we had so many kind of I think we had about 900 logs kind of in surplus. So now that we've been kind of really kind of heavily expanding, and we have so many materials kind of being used, it's kind of like very little of the storage for like kind of wood and stuff like that is needed. I think while we're here, we might as well just pop maybe, yeah, let's pop a little tank here. Make that biofuel. Okay. In terms of food's doing really well. We are kind of maintaining chestnuts just slightly. The bigger kind of section that we kind of built out here has kind of worked really well. In terms of maple syrup, see, they take 12 days, so might need to expand that a little bit more again, but we'll just have to keep an eye on that. I have seen some maple pastries kind of like in the inventory. They are kind of making them. You can see here. Oh, sorry, wrong one. You can see that the pastries themselves, I think we got about 40 or so. You can see probably on here. Oops, wrong one. Where's the food? So yeah, you can see like we have 87 beavers that are kind of fed on the pastries. So it has been working slightly, but again, that's kind of a bit of a tricky one. There we go. Right, so what can we do now? We have 4 workers that we can switch over. They're all fully automated, just making sure. So yeah, I think we have the entire industrial thing minus these few power plants. Well, power wheels, sorry. Kind of, they're all robots now. So that's good. We even have a few extra here, I think, as well, if we just kind of transfer those over. So we have constantly building. So we have 6 robots now constantly building our things, which kind of helps us out a lot. You can see here they're already up to max. Well, there we go. Cool. All right, so we're in a good spot now. Let's just kind of make sure that these guys are, yep, they're doing that pretty nicely. We can expand this out a little bit. Once this is all blocked off, this just means that all of this area here is going to be kind of drained out of all the bad water, and then it just means that we can kind of start to look to do that. So while that's kind of getting built over there in that corner, let's see if we can figure out what we need to do for here. So I think we should run off this way. I think maybe we definitely need to kind of, we can't build up just because all of this is ground level as well, and that'll just create a bit of a situation. What we could have done is we could have had this as a massive channel, and kind of with a little bit of a kind of waterfall kind of situation like we have here. But now that we have so many kind of like all of these kind of power shafts and stuff in place, it might be a bit kind of worth, like it's not really worth that much kind of to do that. So what we'll do is I think we'll run off from here. I think that'll be the idea, right? Yeah. So we'll just do that. Oops. Okay. Let's run this off. There we go. Now what we'll need to do is we'll need to build some dynamite here. So have this off at 2. And then this is going to have to be a 3 right here. And then we'll do 3. Actually, what we'll do is we'll do 1 here. And then we'll do gonna, yeah, we're gonna have to do a little stairwell here, and then followed by a path, and then what I'll do is, instead of chopping them down, I think I'll just have to clear these for, yep, I just don't want to make, I don't want to kind of spend too much time kind of making sure they're all kind of chopped down and stuff. So yeah, so that's good for that. Don't really need to worry about them ones. Now let's make sure this is high priority. Okay, so now that we have all of that done and kind of building, I think what we'll do is we'll kind of call it for today's episode. When we come back in the next episode, what we will look to do is kind of finish up this section, make sure we can start looking to kind of extend our kind of forest and our tree farm, just so we can get plenty more kind of logs, because we are in a constant kind of state of kind of deficit on those. We'll also make sure we get all of this completed as well, so these channels are sorted, and then last but not least, we will get kind of working on this, might as well, and then finally, let's see if we can get this done next episode. Okay guys, appreciate your time kind of checking in with me, and I will catch you all in the next one.